Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys about SC to NMD. Where are you guys at in the business?
As far as like, should we go by volume or should we go by what our title is?
Give me your title.
So title I'm a Q, but volume and structure do not reflect that anymore.
That's okay. We've all been there. Honestly, I've felt that as an NMD. So I think there's something to be said about really being able to perfect the position you're in until you can get to the next one. You know, so I'm now looking at 12 club to 24 club, and there's some things I got to learn along the way. Right. And Kristen, where are you at?
I am in SC right now.
Okay.
And I have a volume of SC, but I'm really trying to get to SSC by the end of July 30th.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. And then Heather, I know you're muted. If you can unmute, tell me, just out of curiosity, so I can cater maybe a little bit more to you guys. Or will someone tell me where Heather is?
Heather's the sales coordinator. She's a brand new sales coordinator.
All right. Congratulations.
Sorry. Thank you. I'm putting a baby to bed. That's why I'm trying to just keep the video off for him too.
You're totally good. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my journey to NMD. Just because honestly, I think we all have a different journey. Like I almost have this theory of like the way you come into an NMD position is almost like a good reflection of your personality. It's almost like how you come into the life from birth, you know, like some people just, you know, cook and take their time and wait to the last minute till they're fully ready. And then some people slide on in and, you know, so it's really interesting to see how the journey goes. So my journey to NMD was not easy. But it was probably the most rewarding thing I've ever really experienced. And I never anticipated that. But it was the first time I felt like what a team effort really is. So I wish I could describe to you the push to the end for us, because we had some volume to make up in September. And all of a sudden my team just rallied. And I had no idea that so many people would push so hard for one person to achieve their goal. So for each of you to experience that is probably one of the coolest things that this company can even offer you. Like, it's a very humbling and amazing experience. And these people, like some of them from the very beginning, they even pushed despite all the mistakes that I made in this journey. Like some who had to relearn how this business actually works after I screwed them up. Like poor Pam Alvarado. She's amazing. So the way I kind of relate to this is whenever people always say, oh, how did you make it to NMD? I think, well, it's not how I made it. It's all the mistakes that I made. So I want to be kind of like that older sibling for you guys. I want to be able to tell you some of the mistakes that I did make, and you have to make your own. But I want to be able to give you a little bit more of a path to make sure you're kind of sticking on. And I'm sure Amy probably feels the same way. You know better, now do better. So I went to my very first conference by myself. I was a little VF, and I know I wasn't even close to customer qualified or team qualified at that point. And I was just going because my friend lived in California. So I was like, well, shoot, I might as well just kill two birds with one stone, visit California, get out of rainy Washington. And I remember sitting there the first time listening to NMD speeches. And a lot of people kept saying that the average time to NMD was 5 years. And I thought, oh, I could do that. I wasn't totally drinking the Kool-Aid of like, yes, being NMD is the only thing in life that I want to push for, because I had a business, a film business that I invested $50,000 into. So, my priority was there, but I thought, well, if everybody's talking about this fitting into life stolen moments, then all right, I could take an NMD lifestyle in 5 years without really working full time. So that's kind of how it went. Now, I will tell you, my SCs on here, most people will tell you that SC to SSC is probably the biggest struggle in this business. When I finally achieved SSC, I cried like a baby. Like, I cried. I was happier at my SSC position than NMD because I felt like I just couldn't get there. And once like the momentum started rolling, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually going to be an NMD. So I could actually like believe it and kind of visualize it. So, so know that struggle is real. I mean, you guys are switching from learning promo PV to all of a sudden retraining your brain to understanding real PV. And that's a big thing. So I always think you always have to own whatever position you're in, and you're not going to go to the next level until everything's right, until you're ready to be able to say to your team, this is how it's done. This is how you get to this position, because now you're kind of a professional in that. So here's my thing. It drives me crazy to think that I heard you can get, to NMD in 5 years, but nobody told me how to do it. That drives me crazy, where they're just like, well, we're just going to take one position at a time. No, in my eyes, you need 3 VFs to get to SC, and you need 5 SCs to get to NMD. I know it's not 3 VFs to SC, but why would you just go two VFs and 1 DD when you should just get them to VF? So my opinion there. So, okay, so I'm going to go a little above and beyond because I always like to round up. But you need 5 sales coordinators. And you've heard Amy talk about 5 A-plus sales coordinators. You need that. And you need 33,000 in volume. So if that intimidates the crap out of you, I'm just going to say that you're in a good position. You're already one step closer to the NMD journey. So 5 A-plus sales coordinators. Now, corporate will say you need 5 all PB qualified and 3 POB and 6 to 8 working lines. Let's just say this. You want to have 1,600 of your own customer PV. You want to be customer qualified with that. So, you want all of your sales coordinators to do that. So you don't have to worry about that. That is a solid qualified, customer qualified line. And then you want each of them to have 400 in POB because, again, it's solid. So then let's add on 6 to 8 working lines to that. If you get that, you're going in as a solid NMD. I don't want you to go in, sliding into home base, and then all of a sudden what you just worked so hard for to kind of slip through the knots, because that's what happened to me. So I don't want that to happen to you guys. So I'm telling you, you got to have these super solid sales coordinators. And don't adopt people. This is your business. So who are your 5? If someone would have said you really need 5, now I've heard of one NMD who actually did. Only the 5 people she brought directly into her business got her to NMD. Now, can you imagine how cool that is? And I think she did it in a year. Her name is Christy too, by the way. Clearly, not all Christys work the same. But like when I think about who I want on my team, I gotta have a fat Amy from Pitch Perfect. Like I gotta have somebody that when like shit's kind of hitting the fan, you're gonna have somebody who's like gonna be hilarious. She's gonna come in on a wrecking ball and show her underwear, right? So you gotta think about also, like, I love the organized people on my team. I love the people who work smarter, not harder, because I don't fit into those categories. So where am I lacking? And where are the people that bring that to the table to make this business and this team even better? So have a talk with them. Like, I wish I would have known 5 people, these are the people you want to bring into the business. I wish I would have said, guys, I think I can do this, and I want you to do it with me, and I want you to find your 5, and I want those 5 people to find their 5, because we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of people to get healthier, and we have a lot of people who need to get wealthier. So keep that in mind when you start thinking about who your people are. Okay, so now let's look at the volume. 33,000 in volume. We pretty much typically operate on T120, so I know that the real PV volume is 112.5. I typically like to say 111 because that number is easy for everyone to remember. But if you divide 112.5 into 33,000, that's going to say you need 293 T120 orders. But I like to round up, so let's just say 300. 300 is going to give you that volume that you need for NMD. So remember, you also need 5 sales coordinators. So you probably don't want to get 300 of those orders on your own. Let's divide them up amongst the legs. 5 sales coordinators. So that's going to be 58 T120 orders per team. So let's just say 60. And then let's divide that by 6 because you want 6 to 8 working lines, right? That's 10 T120 orders per sales coordinator team. Now, this is not a perfect world, but do you see how all of a sudden you're like, That's a little bit easier. 33,000 in volume doesn't scare the living out of me as much. So breaking it down month by month, week by week, day by day, you can actually plan a little bit ahead and gauge where you are mid-month and the end of the month and see what you may need to change regarding your goals. But the last thing is you need to be aware of the 2/3 rule. Once you become Q and NMD, corporate's going to get a little sassy with you and they're going to say, nope, you have this really awesome sales coordinator who has 2/3 of your volume. You don't want that. But most everyone has it because it's typically your best friend who you're working with and you all have the same friends. So that's your cankle. So you want to spread out the cankles, right? So everybody make a gang sign. You see that? These are your sales coordinators. You're here. Let's balance them out, okay? Your upline. Amy and I kind of figured out how to do this. Trust us. We know how to get you into this position. We are going to get you out of your comfort zone. If you are not out of your comfort zone, you will not make it to National Marketing Director. So, when are you going to become a National Marketing Director? Like, really, when are you? What is that first date that comes to mind when you think about that?
Sacramento.
When is it? Sacramento? Did you hear that in her voice? That is something that I want you to recognize right there, is when your team really says they're ready to go, you're going to hear that in their voice. You are going to do it. I wonder if you're sleeping. Because once you make that commitment, you're like, oh my God, I can't sleep. This is the most exciting thing in the world.
The first time I said them out loud, like I was like SSC by July 30th, and I was like, oh, what? Yeah. Oh God. Like, okay, well, I guess I have to do it now. And then I was like NMD by Sacramento, and I was like, and I actually have it like all laid out, like exactly what I have to do and like what everybody has to do. I just have to help them do it.
Exactly. Everybody noticed this. Look how bold she was about even saying when it's going to happen. I just have to do it. Like, it's just going to happen. Like, once you get that commitment, it's just happening. So I love that. That's when you know that you have someone serious going there. So now I want you to think about this. What are you going to wear? What are you going to wear when you become a National Marketing Director? When you go up on stage with your family, somebody's holding that plaque, what are you going to tell the 10,000 people who are staring back at you? But what are you going to look like? Because that makes a difference. When I knew like I was serious, I was like, I'm walking in my cowboy boots. Like, I'm wearing those. So every night before I went to bed, I felt what it would feel like to be walking with knocking knees, scared to death to talk to this many people. But I would feel my feet in those shoes. And I knew what dress I was wearing. I knew who was going to be up on stage with me. I watched the whole thing happen before it did. And it was amazing how real it was when I actually did it. It was like deja vu. I've done this before, you know? So think about that. That's going to make it real. That's going to turn that subconscious mind and make this a reality for you. So if you aren't saying when you're going to make this happen, and if you're not writing it down and you're not visualizing it, I don't know if it's going to happen for you. I really don't. These come into play. Your mindset with this position, it needs to be real. So now you got to ask your team for help. And you got to tell them why it means so much to you that you get their help. And you got to tell them why you're struggling and you need to get to NMD. So, I mean, we have my husband's healthcare with the military. You guys all understand that. He's a major in the military. We're pretty comfortable. I've got a good, solid paychecks coming in every month with Juice Plus. But what really I needed is I needed my husband to be with me when I walked on that stage. He's been my biggest fan. I needed him there. And I knew that if we went to Phoenix and I became an NMD there, he was probably going to be deployed. So that was my reason why I had to have it done the end of September last year. And I told a few of my team members, but God bless Pam Alvarado. She went and blabbed her mouth on our team Voxer chat. And all of a sudden, what happened? Everybody heard my struggle and they fought for me. You got to tell people why you're struggling. They're not going to want to help you if you're not struggling. And that goes with your Juice Plus story, your business story, and why you want to get to NMD or whatever position you're in right now. What's it going to do for you, but why do you need it? So you got to learn to read reports. I am so tired of hearing about NMDs who don't know how to read a report, because you know what? They're doing their team a disservice for not taking full advantage of the compensation plan. They're not growing leaders because reading a PVC report understands, it builds belief in you. You're kind of like, oh, I actually have a handle on this kind of thing. So it's huge. And then being able to teach your team the same thing. And then guess what? You ask them what their goals are, and you break it down month by month, day by day, just like we did for National Marketing Director. And that gives them a knowledge of what to do, because most of the time, the reason they're not working is because they don't know what to do. So if they're silent, it's time to check in. But before they get silent, you got to ask them, how should I respond when you are silent? When you are in your head? People get stuck in their head in this business more than any other thing. That's usually to their detriment. That's why people, quote unquote, fail in this business. There's no failing, but they're quitting. That's why. So you got to help them get out of their own way. As Amy said, I loved it. She said, this isn't about you. It's about all the people that you want to help. You got to get out of your way. So when in doubt, go back to the basics. Qualify, 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 qualify. Get customer qualified. Teach your team to do the same thing. Duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. When you are a national marketing director, that's going to be the largest portion of your paycheck. Okay? And I'm going to tell you this. I didn't know what qualifying meant until I was a senior sales coordinator, almost a Q. Yeah, I've got some making up to do for my team. Okay? Teach them qualifying as quickly as you possibly can. Now, this is the reality point for you. These are the tough questions. Would you follow you? Right now, you're already hearing voices that are saying, you got to do this better, you got to do this, you got to do this. You also have to hear what you're doing awesome at, but you got to be real with yourself on the things that you need to fix, because remember that this business is a self-improvement program, cleverly disguised as a business, or however Kurt Beaver says it. We always have to fix ourselves. I'm still asking myself that. What do I need to improve on? Shoot, I got hypnotized yesterday, because you know what I don't do? I come up with good ideas, but I never follow through with them. And I always procrastinate. I know I have to fix myself on that. So the other thing is you got to ask yourself, what are you wearing daily? Are you dressing for success? Now, this doesn't mean you have to be in like a suit. I mean, yes, I'm wearing workout clothes right now, but they're nice workout clothes. It's not like my basketball shirt from 7th grade. If you are wearing workout clothes, people are going to say, did you just come from the gym? Which I did. You know, like they want to know, somehow they're interested in health. Start talking to them. You never know what can come out of that. But just make sure that you're dressed enough so someone can respect that you are a professional. And then, are you a product of the product? If you're taking pictures on Facebook of like your bacon cheeseburger and your donuts with bacon in them and all that kind of stuff, like, really? Can we take you seriously? I mean, every so often that's fine, but I just was at the dentist earlier today too. And we were talking about all the hippie things that I do to keep my teeth clean. I told them how I brush my teeth with bentonite clay, and they're like, what? So now all of a sudden they're categorizing me as a hippie, but I was able to lock in an appointment next week to talk to everyone about Juice Plus. You know, be real with if you're that crazy health nut, or talk about how you're really striving to be better. So always make sure that you're being a product of the product. And then, would you pay someone for the work that you've done the past 30 days? Would you really write a check to them and be like, okay, thanks for your service? Because if you wouldn't, that means you're not building events. That means you're not checking in with your team and doing coaching calls and doing text blitzes. You're not doing any income producing activities. Because if you were, you'd write a check to somebody for doing that. And are you teaching your team to do the same thing that you are? Are you duplicating? Okay, so be real with yourself. Check yourself every single day and check in with your team